in my life, this is my time. Step up, rise up, fight first, bring it on.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I want you to do me a favour for me. I want you to think back to a time where you had managed to successfully complete something, to successfully get something within your grasp, and claim it as your own. And then, what will have happened next is just as soon as you think you still have that in your grasp, some force takes it away from you and gives it to somebody else. That could be you completing a task but somebody else getting the credit for it. It could be something more physical where you have something but then it is taken by someone else, whether by theft or whether they just took it and never gave it back. I want you to think about that because this is the subject for this video, because the person that I'm talking about is none other than Luke Tyler. I actually remember the first time I ever met him. Oh, and I loved the hissy fit that he put on that show. Because, ladies and gentlemen, you will find in wrestling that you will come across people who will try and intimidate you. People who will try and flex their muscles in front of you on your first day to sort of provide a pecking order for you to understand. The individual who tried to do this to me on that day was Luke Tyler. He swanned up to me with that intercontinental belt that he had at the time. Or a Cold Day in Hell, which, yeah, I met a lot of people at the Cold Day in Hell event. And he showed it in front of me. He made sure that I could see that belt that he had on his shoulder. And he was there reminding me that he was one of the best and that I should watch out and that I should respect him. And nobody else had done this on the day. He was the one who felt the need to do so. And I thought to myself, what a fragile human being he is. So I wanted to show that I wasn't scared of him. As he was moving to go past me, I held his belt. I pulled him back to where he was before. And even though I didn't need to go anywhere, I walked in front of him. Now, interpret that however you want to interpret it, but the way I wanted to interpret it to him was that I'm not going to be easily intimidated by someone who feels the need to shove the belt in front of me. Because that won't work. Not one bit. Oh, but he was furious after that. He demanded that I have a match with him on that day. He demanded with every person, including Lawrence, that I should be put into a match with him. And I couldn't believe that on my first day there, I had managed to elicit such a response from someone who was supposedly as high as he was. Now, I wish I could tell you more about this individual, Luke Tyler. I really do. The only other thing I can tell you is he's part of some tag team with that one guy. I still can't remember his name. If somebody would be so happy to comment it down below, because my memory is brilliant, but when it comes to insignificant people like that, I tend to gloss over whatever their name is and what they do. So, be a pal, would you, down there below, and someone let me know? And the reason I can't tell you more about Luke Tyler is because, well, in the last episode I was talking about Carnage being a Brock Lesnar of SWF, a part-timer, someone who only ever turns up every now and then, well, Luke Tyler's pretty much the same. He would probably fancy himself as a Goldberg, but with that frame, I could hardly see him being a Goldberg. A Gilberg, maybe, but not a Goldberg. Yes, and the reason I say this is because he doesn't turn up half the time. In fact, no, he doesn't turn up 3/4 of the time. He only turns up to a couple of events a year. Turns up to Cold Day in Hell, definitely turns up to Apocalypse, and to maybe a few other named events. But when it comes to the events that aren't named and take place in fun fairs and galas and were in front of much larger audiences, he's not so willing to show himself. He's not willing to go out there and put in the same level of work as the rest of us are willing to. And that does include me, because I turn up most of the time to these events. Now, this to me says a lot about the character of a man that he is. It tells me that, well, one thing it could tell you is that he's too lazy to want to do anything else. He'll just turn up when and where it suits him because fuck everyone else, right? Nobody else matters in this situation but him. And because of this, I believe he was stripped of the title because of it, and it was given to someone else, which I thought was a good decision. And eventually it made its way into the hands of the Hood. But we'll get to that eventually, because that's a bit of a fiery topic for me. What this also suggests, him not turning up, is that he's not that confident in his abilities. Let's be fair, these named events, like Redemption, like Battle Scars, like Apocalypse, we don't have as many people viewing them as we do everywhere else. And the reason for that is it's more of a private event, but we do put it all over YouTube so then everyone can see. I know I do on my end. But he doesn't seem to fare so well when there's a large audience around him. It's almost like he's not confident in his ability to be able to perform in front of a crowd and put on a good show for everyone. It's almost like he's scared to get into the ring and get shown up by people who are better at wrestling and better at fighting than him. Would it not? I mean, I would certainly be expected to be called out like that if that were the case. And what it also suggests that is he's not very willing to put everything on the line like the rest of us will. I'm quite happy to defend my titles at fun days as well as named events. Whereas I can't remember the last time that he was doing a title defense. I think he defended it once, the Intercontinental Championship recently, but even then, I wasn't around to see that change happen, so I don't even know how that match went. To be fair, it's probably as good as the rest of his matches, which is to say, not very. But this does lead on to the bit that pisses me off the most. You see, on my channel, there is a video where I went up against The Hood, who at that point, at Lock Park, was the Intercontinental Champion. And I had managed to get myself a chance to face said Intercontinental Champion. And guess what? I won. I'll pop the video down in the link in the comment section below so you can go straight to look at it afterwards and see the destruction that I caused upon him. But I won that belt. And I held on to it. And I was prepared to defend it at Apocalypse until plans changed and it became the 5-on-5. Now, what did Lawrence do? What did Lawrence do when it came closer and closer to Apocalypse? I'll tell you exactly what he did. He heard that Luke Tyler was returning to SWF for Apocalypse. And he said, look, I'll be honest. He never really lost that title, so I want to give it back to him. I'm going to strip it away from you and give it back to him. It's like that James Westney deciding to face Side Splitter decision again. It's another decision that doesn't make any sense. I am an active member of the SWF roster who had his title stripped away and given to someone who doesn't even turn up for the majority of the year and then displays it like as if it was always his. How dare he do that at all? People were interested in facing me for that Intercontinental belt. People were interested in seeing how far I could go with it before someone else could take it away from me. People were interested in the reign that I could have had with that belt, but was taken away from me by some very abysmally poor managerial decisions. And to give it back to Luke Tyler, of all people, someone who doesn't even turn up, someone who doesn't even respect SWF enough to hang around at all these other events. And you expect me to be okay with that? If it were my decision, I would have kept that bloody belt, and instead of 2, I would have had 3 belts. And we all know that would have been damn well true. Because there was nothing else that would have stopped the build-up to a redemption, where I won the Cruiserweight belt and retained my Sheffield belt. That Intercontinental belt I never truly lost, although I'm quite happy to see it in full-time hands again with Kieran Hayes. It's a lot better than leaving it with Luke Tyler, and it's certainly a damn lot better than leaving it with Crisis. I just want you to know, Luke Tyler, man to weakling, that you never had my respect from the start. You are so full of shit that you can barely look out of that brown tinted window of yours. Your head is so far up your arse you can't look around and see what's happening around you. It's only ever about you. And probably isn't even about your tag team partner either. You couldn't give less of a damn about him. And I'm interested to hear what you think of what I've been saying, and I'm interested to hear what he's been saying, what he thinks I've been saying about all of this. Because maybe that'll be the first time that you've properly got involved in SWF for a very long time. So I will issue a challenge to you when you decide to grace us with your presence again in SWF. When you decide to ride down from the heavens or from hell, wherever you decide to come from, and grace us with your presence in SWF. Just remember that I will always have a vacancy left open for you. And I will show you exactly what a full-timer can do to a pathetic part-timing piece of scum like you. A piece of scum who goes around thinking that he can knock people out with wraps of bubble wrap. Really? You really believe you can knock people out with bubble wrap? Please, don't make me laugh. You're not as tough as you think you are, you're not as strong as you think you are, and you're not as good as wrestler as you think you are. Everyone knows that, I know that, and deep down inside that frail masculinity of yours, you know that as well. So why don't you do the right thing and man up? Man up! and face me, someone who's not afraid to take your shit, and is quite happy to deal as much back, if not more. You're a pathetic excuse for an SWF wrestler, and why you haven't already been thrown out for your insolence is beyond me. Because if I were in charge, I wouldn't have kept you for as long as you have been in. Full time only. We'll do a clearance like they did in the WWE with their part-timers as well. But that's not my decision. That's Lawrence's. We're on 7 now, Lawrence. 7 people who are going to get hurt because of you. And I have still yet to hear from you. At this rate, I'll be going through the entire damn roster. And everybody's going to be looking at you then, aren't they? But I have a day to celebrate. So I'll leave this little video there, I think. Leave a like, share, and subscribe. And click up here, so you can choose which wrestler I should talk about next. And don't forget to ring the bell icon, so you can stay updated with all videos in the future. But for today, this has been the next episode of Remus Talks, and I'll see you all in the next one.